The amount of baits that are available to us through our tackle shops these days has vastly increased over the last few years. And from an angler's point of view, it's always intrigued me about what kind of ingredients go in to those ground baits and the pellets that we now use on a weekly basis. That is why we're here today. We've managed to get exclusive access to the Sonubaits headquarters, where we're going to be taking a look at some of the ingredients that go into the ground baits and pellets. We're also going to be looking at the processes involved, and we're also going to be talking about how lots of the products are actually created. Well, we're here in the Sonubaits factory. This is basically where all the raw ingredients come. This is where the baits get processed and packaged. But we're going to take a quick look at where the ingredients actually come in. What kind of ingredients go into the ground baits and the pellets that are processed through Sonubaits, and who better to tell us more about that than Sonubaits manager Ian Day. So Ian, thank you for letting us have a look round.
You're very welcome.
You've been here a few years, haven't you? How many years have you been here at Sonu?
16 years now.
Wow, right, I bet you've seen some changes in that time.
Yeah, well, we're third factory, so each time getting bigger. And yeah, the evolution of baits and commercial style of fishing has, yeah, lots happened in the last 16 years.
I bet it has. I bet, how's your product range changed in that time?
Dramatically. When I started here, there was 2 ground baits, mix 1, mix 2, and a paste mix as well. We've now got 35, 36 different ground baits for natural fishing and commercials.
We've got to ask you, where do lots of the ideas for the products come from?
Well, they come from everywhere really, because when you look at the group of anglers that we have, you know, they're forever tweaking their baits that they currently use to make them better anglers to be able to catch more fish. And then I get the feedback from them, you know, so they might have a product that they use, like I don't know, match method mix for example, and they might be using it and say, well, I like this, but I'd prefer it if it did this. So I then take that information, look at it and think, well, can it be tweaked to make a new product? Is that the right thing to do? And then, you know, I'll experiment with a few different ingredients to get what the angler's asked me to do, send it back to the angler and go, do you mean like this? And then, you know, if the feedback's good, I then start putting it out to a few more anglers to see whether they like it, whether they feel that it has a place in their fishing bag. And if it does, then it just rolls on from there and comes a product.
Well, right in the warehouse now, as you can see, Ian, this is huge, isn't it? I mean, is this where the goods come in, your ingredients and stuff?
That's right, yeah. So goods come in. This is obviously goods in. The warehouse is just shy of 30,000 square foot. So goods come in, usually in bulk bags like this. We get deliveries from all over Europe. Stuff comes in, it gets QC'd as it comes through the door, and then we put it away in the racks, waiting until we need it. So something like this weighs about, that one's 800 kilos, and then we've got one there that's a ton. To put it in perspective, we can hold about 500 tons of raw product at any one time, and obviously off that we draw to make the ground baits or the feed pellets that we need at the time. So as an example, this is a red pellet that we use in our ground bait. So any ground bait that has a reddy colour to it, this pellet goes into it. And the red is made from beetroot powder and red rice powder, and that's what colours the pellet.
Right, so you're not using dyes in any way then, it's the actual colouring is actually from the actual raw ingredient?
That's right, yeah. Legally to sell stuff in Europe now, it has to, any ingredient that goes in there has to provide some level of nutritional value to the fish. Obviously the old dyes, your red oxides and your black oxides and stuff like that, you're now no longer allowed to use. So it all has to be through natural ingredients, which is, for red, it's beetroot powder, that obviously colours a normal sort of fish meal pellet. in that red colour.
Ian, fish meal, come on, it's an absolute, well, it's a mystery to most people. Can you just shed a bit of light on what fish meal is basically and what the raw ingredient might look like?
Yeah, of course. So fish meal is ground up fish. Fish is caught and it's processed for the fish oil. What's left is then dried, and off the back of that you then end up with fish meal. Very simplistically, there's 3 different sorts of fish meal. One is flame dried, which gives you a burnt sort of smell to it, and they burn off quite a bit of the protein, but it's the cheapest way of doing it. The next one is steam dried, where something's dried with hot steam, and the next one is spray dried, where it's dried in a vessel and it creates a really nice mix. This is the fish meal that we predominantly use. So this is salmon meal, so it's single source, so guaranteed consistency every time it comes from salmon. And this is steam dried, so you get that nice smooth consistency.
That's really fine, isn't it?
Really fine. And it goes in a lot of our mixes, because over the past sort of 10-15 years, the pellet companies have tried to take fish meal out of the fish pellets because it's an expensive product. But from a fishing point of view, fish meal right the way throughout the year, but especially in your warmer months, it really does make a difference to the stamp of fish that you catch.
One of the things that I get asked about a lot, Ian, is biscuits. There's lots of mixers out there where they say, well, it's got a bit of biscuit in it. What exactly sort of biscuit are they talking about? Are there different sorts of biscuits? What are they, if you can tell us that?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of difference in biscuits. So what we do here for guaranteed consistency is we actually buy biscuit crumb, which is made for the bottom of cheesecakes. So it's made in a food factory as a biscuit. It's then crumbled up and sold to cheesecake manufacturers.
Right.
And off the back of that, we can guarantee that it's all human grade. It hasn't got any bits of plastic in like some other biscuit that you buy from the continent has. And it's just really, really consistent. It's more expensive, but it's a guarantee of consistency, and that's why we buy it. We buy bourbon and digestive, both destined for
right.
cheesecakes.
Is that what we've got up there?
That's right. Yeah. So we buy.
There we go. Let's zoom in.
We buy it we buy it 3 ton at a time. And we use that in a lot of our silver fish mixes, which more traditionally have sweet biscuit flavours to them.
So we've got bourbon there, and what's that one?
Digestive, that one.
Digestive, yeah. There we go. How about that for quality ingredients? The fish don't know that they're getting spoiled, do they, like that?
Well, if only I could make them into real biscuits, I'd have them in my tea.
I bet. We're now in, what's this referred to? The processing department?
This is production, yeah.
This is production.
Yeah, so here what we've got making is our ground bait, and currently they're making F1 ground bait. So F1 ground bait is an expander that we have made to our own recipe. We grind that through this machine, comes out the other end there, as you can see it's coming out, and then we take that and we add a few of our secret additives to it to give it the F1 flavour.
Got you. So this is where the actual mixes get mixed together.
This is where the magic happens.
Where the magic happens, and then this big machine over here,
yeah, so
is that where everything's getting bagged up?
That's right. So we've got 2 hoppers, a delivery system. Everything's weighed out, bagged, and it's batched at that point as well. So we keep traceability of the batches, and that's just a guarantee of consistency.
We've got to ask, how many products don't make the cut?
Loads.
Right.
Loads and loads. For a number of different reasons. When you're fishing really at the top end of your game, what a lot of ideas that come to me are really niche in the actual application of them. There isn't that many people that would use them, and therefore you've got to look at it and go, okay, well, is that the right product for everyone to use, or is it just really something that you know, only the international lads will use, and off the back of that, you've then got to make a decision as to whether it's a viable, commercially viable product. But yeah, there's loads of ideas that either I come up with or they come up with that, yeah, they just don't make it to market for whatever reason.
I had no idea that there were so many different variables as regards the actual ingredients. You know, when you're talking about fish meals, when you're talking about a biscuit that goes into ground bait mixers, there are so many different types of biscuits, so many different sorts of fish meals and quality of fish meals that will inevitably have a huge impact actually on the quality of the product itself. One of the most popular baits, Ian, certainly here in England, are wafters, dumbbells, bandems, you name it. There is a process to making these consistent, isn't there? I know that's something that you really pride yourself 100%. On, isn't it?
So wafters originally came from the carp market into the match market. I believe we were the first to do them, and at that point it was all about creating a product which counterbalanced the weight of the hook. So the theory being you're putting out a method feeder and it pops up at the same speed that everything else pops up. So it sits just on top of the method bed and it comes up as a fish comes past and sucks it. And it's almost like an incidental hookup rather than something specific. But for that you need absolute assurances that the product is doing what you think it's doing. So with these, they're really, really consistent. They match against the weight of the hook. Every one of them is exactly the same. So once you've got it balanced to the size of the hook and the band that you're using, you know that each time you strap one of these on, it will do exactly what you want it to do. You don't get a difference in variation with some floating and some sinking, because the last thing you want to do is sit there, think you're fishing a wafter and you're actually fishing a pop-up that's 4 inches above your hook bait, or if you think you're fishing a wafter and it's not moving about, so it's heavier than everything else, then you're just not going to get the hookups that you thought that you should be getting.
Well, this has been an incredible insight into how ground baits and how pellets are actually produced, certainly on this scale. And it's, you know, it's just obviously so evident that the quality of the ground bait and the quality of the pellet really is determined by the quality of the ingredients. And it's great to see that Sonubaits put so much emphasis actually on making sure that they are top quality ingredients. I really hope you've enjoyed this little bit of an insight into these baits. I'm going to be using them out on the bank over the next few weeks, so if you want to see that series of videos, then please give this one a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more behind the scenes videos like this one. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.